Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are taking you straight to the heart of local decision-making in Southeast Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources are the detailed agenda and all the supporting documents from the Deer Park City Council's 1,888th meeting held back on November 18th, 2025.
And this material is, it's just invaluable because it shows you exactly how local governance translates into direct actionable impact for residents.
Right.
Whether you live in Deer Park, LaPorte, or Pasadena, we're going way beyond, surface level politics here.
Yeah, we're looking at real financial choices, everything from these huge infrastructure contracts to the fate of a critical $300,000 fee.
Exactly.
Our mission is simple. We want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you. We're focusing on how infrastructure is funded, the immediate tax implications you might see, and crucially, a really dramatic debate over user fees.
Oh, yeah, that one reveals a core tension in local budgeting.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So to set the scene, the meeting was held at the council chambers at 710 East San Agustin.
Right.
And it's worth noting, even official city business is embracing, modern flexibility. The agenda allowed for virtual attendance via Microsoft Teams.
Which is pretty standard now, but there was a little hiccup.
There was. The minutes note that Councilman Martin had a brief technical difficulty right after the consent calendar vote. It's just a relatable reminder that, tech is tech.
Even for the city council. But behind those logistics, there's this guiding mission that the council has to operate under legally.
What's the mission statement?
In Deer Park's case, it's to deliver exemplary municipal services that provide a high quality of life consistent with our history, culture, and unique sense of community.
So everything we talk about, parks, water, all of it, has to connect back to that promise.
It has to.
And we can see the financial cost of that promise almost immediately by looking at the taxpayer impact statement.
Yeah. This document is required by Texas House Bill 1522. It's designed for transparency.
So everyone can see how tax choices affect the average homeowner.
And what's fascinating here is this illusion of stability versus the reality of rising cost. You might look at the adopted tax rate and think, great, they held the line.
Because the rate itself didn't change.
Not at all. It was perfectly steady. More $0.720 thousand per $100 valuation for the current fiscal year and the upcoming one. But your estimated tax bill still went up.
Okay, so the rate is stable, but the bill is not. Explain how that jump happens.
It comes down entirely to property valuation. The median taxable value of a homestead rose year over year.
By how much?
It went from $193,254 up to $198,814. That's an increase of about $5,500 on the median home's value.
And if the tax rate is a fixed percentage and the value of the thing you're taxing goes up?
And the total bill rises.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because the city held that rate, the estimated annual tax bill for the median homeowner went from $1,391.43 to $1,431.46.
That's a $40.03 increase.
Mm-hmm.
So that $40 is essentially an unavoidable property tax increase for the median homeowner. And this really highlights a challenge for local governments, right?
It's a huge one.
The city council didn't officially vote to raise the rate, but the local economy inflation demand forces taxpayers to pay more anyway.
And that external pressure is key. It's why the council vote for the Harris Central Appraisal District, or HCI, Board of Directors, is so important.
They cast a vote for Jason Morris to that position.
Right, and HCAT is the entity that determines those property valuations. They are the fundamental driver of this whole equation. So control over that process is regional power.
It connects directly to the need for money. So let's talk about where that money is going, the bricks and mortar of the city. What were the big capital expenditures?
This meeting was really heavy on strategic public works investments. It signals a shift toward being proactive, not just reacting to things breaking down.
Okay.
One of the most significant approvals was Item 9, which authorized an agreement with Civitas Engineering Group to develop a dynamic water model.
That sounds incredibly technical. Why does a city need a dynamic water model?
It might sound theoretical, but it's essential for system survival. A dynamic water model is basically a sophisticated computer simulation of the entire water system.
Pipes, pumps, valves, everything.
Everything. It allows staff to predict how things like future growth or, say, a drought will affect water flow and pressure.
So it helps them pinpoint where the next pipe failure might happen before it happens.
Exactly. You get scheduled maintenance instead of costly middle-of-the-night emergency repairs. It's a huge long-term planning tool.
And on a more localized level, they address some very specific utility needs too.
They did. We saw a budget amendment approved for the installation of a new lift station at the Jimmy Burke Activity Center.
What does a lift station do?
It's a fundamental piece of infrastructure. It pumps wastewater or stormwater from a low elevation to a higher one. A new one there just means the activity center area gets a serious upgrade to its sanitation and drainage.
Which is crucial for that high quality of life standard.
Absolutely. Plus, they approved software and hardware upgrades for a bunch of city HVAC systems, which, saves money and energy in the long run.
And that focus on efficiency and safety seemed to extend to frontline services as well. Item 8 saw the city accept a federal grant through the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership.
And that's vital operational funding. It takes the financial burden of protecting officers off the city's general fund.
At the same time, we saw a pretty big refresh of the city's vehicle fleet.
Oh yeah, a major refresh of the rolling stock across multiple essential departments. This ensures city operations aren't relying on old, unreliable equipment.
The fleet replacements were extensive. Street maintenance is getting a new dump truck, a real workhorse.
Right.
And parks maintenance is receiving a 2025 Chevrolet Silverado 2500. I mean, these are the tools that keep the neighborhood functioning.
But the investment in public safety, specifically EMS, that really stands out. They authorized the purchase of a Ford F-450 diesel chassis and patient compartment.
That's a heavy-duty vehicle.
It is. And in a community near industrial areas, having a modern, heavy-duty chassis for emergency medical services is paramount. It ensures reliability when stress is high.
It directly reinforces that mission statement, right? Exemplary municipal services.
You can't deliver exemplary service if your ambulances are breaking down.
Exactly.
And moving beyond just core operations, we also saw a big focus on community programs, the quality of life amenities that make an area desirable.
The council approved design services for the adult sports complex.
Which is a key signal of future recreational investment.
And, maybe even more critical for daily life, they renewed 3 big sports organization utilization agreements.
Yes, with the Fast Pitch Association, Pony Baseball, and Soccer FC. These are the agreements that formalize access to the fields and facilities.
Meaning the foundation for youth and adult sports in the community is secure.
These are the items that often fly under the radar, but they are the scaffolding that supports local culture.
Okay, now let's pivot sharply. We need to talk about the item that generated real political friction. Everything we just discussed, the water model, the ambulances, the sports fields, it all passed without major issue. But that consensus just broke down completely with item 20.
Ordinance 25-117, amending Appendix B to include processing fees for electronic payments.
This debate was more than just about money, wasn't it? It was a deep dive into the philosophy of who pays for convenience.
It really was. And to understand the tension, you need the procedural context. This was actually step 2 of a 2-step process.
What was step 1?
City staff had already received approval for the fees themselves in a prior vote. So this vote, item 20, was just about incorporating those already approved fees into the official city ordinance.
But it failed.
It failed, and the failure of step 2 effectively reversed the intent of step 1.
And the council member who opposed this, they didn't mince words.
Not at all. Their main concern was the burden on residents. They said citizens were already facing water bill increases and that adding new fees felt like nitpicking.
So it's a perception issue. You can't ask for more money here when you're also spending big over there.
That was the argument. They also pointed out the lack of a truly viable fee-free option. Sure, bank draft is free, but you give up control. And the e-check option still had a fee of $1.95.
Wait a minute, though. Isn't convenience itself a service?
Yeah.
By penalizing card users, aren't you discouraging the easiest way for people to pay? I thought digitalization was supposed to save the city money.
That was the heart of the counter-argument from staff. They pushed back with some stark financial reality.
Okay.
They argued that the city currently absorbs all these transaction costs, and their estimate was that this costs the general fund about, get this, $80,000 per quarter.
Per quarter, so that's over $300,000 a year.
Roughly $300,000 annually, yes. And so the staff's argument for the ordinance rested on the principle of equitability.
Meaning?
Meaning, if a user chooses the convenience of a credit card, they should cover the cost. Why should all taxpayers, including those who pay with cash or a physical check, subsidize that choice?
And just to be clear on the fees, what were they proposing?
It was $1.95 for an e-check, and then for card usage, it was a percentage, between 2.5% and 3.95%, depending on the service.
So the debate got tense.
It was. You could sense the frustration from members who felt the financial staff had done their homework and that the fees were justified, especially since they'd already been approved in step one.
But the motion still failed.
It failed by vote.
What was the immediate consequence of that one vote?
The city manager stated right then and there that the fees would not be charged, and the city attorney was told to figure out how to legally rescind the prior approval.
So that entire $300,000 annual cost just shifted right back onto the general taxpayer fund instantly.
Instantly. It's a powerful illustration of the democratic process. One member's objection, framed effectively around protecting the resident, was enough to reverse a major financial strategy.
Okay, let's move on to some of the essential civic housekeeping that keeps the city running.
Right. We saw several key appointments. Besides the HC-HAD vote for Jason Morris, which is vital for property valuations, the council appointed 2 people to the Library Board of Trustees.
Jolene Key and Jennifer Torres.
Correct, for 2-year terms. And these boards and committees are, where the daily cultural and intellectual life of the city really gets shaped.
I want to highlight one last item that I think speaks volumes about the city's commitment to its own employees.
The Longevity Pay Benefits Ordinance.
Yes, this seems like a very positive change.
It absolutely is. It did 2 things. First, it just changed the month of payment, which is minor. But much more significantly, it removed the maximum length of service cap for longevity pay.
Why is removing that cap such a big deal for employees?
Well, longevity pay is designed to reward dedicated service. When there's a cap, say, after 25 years, an employee has no further financial incentive for their dedication.
They max out.
They max out. By removing that cap, the city is telling its most experienced long-term workers that their decades of service will continue to be recognized financially, every single year. It's a fantastic tool for retention and morale.
All these items, from employee retention to utility infrastructure, they really bring us full circle, don't they? Every single thing we've talked about, from that specific $40 tax increase to the fate of that $300,000 user fee, was a direct result of local decision-making.
And it's all highly relevant to residents in Deer Park, LaPorte, and Pasadena. We've covered major capital spending, investments in youth sports, and that very real debate about who pays.
It's clear that city governance is just a constant, difficult balance between maintaining high-quality services and managing financial costs and risks.
It is.
So, what does this all mean for you? The City Council voted against passing those transaction fees to users. That means the operating costs for credit cards and e-checks, they stay with the general taxpayer.
And this raises a really important question that every local official and resident has to consider. When should local government prioritize user convenience over strict cost recovery? Should it allow easy card-based payments without fees, or should it make the specific user of that convenience bear the cost? Your local officials are wrestling with this exact financial and really ethical trade-off.
And understanding those specific cost implications is key to being well-informed in your community.
And to holding your elected representatives accountable?